Is it finally time to overhaul our secondary and stop relying on the same old faces in the defensive backfield? While the front office seems hesitant to shake up the depth chart, one specific rookie is making a massive case to become a day one impact player. The talent gap is closing fast, and we are looking at a potential defensive upgrade that could change the entire look of our pass coverage this season. Do you want to see the new blood take the field immediately? Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. The Carolina Panthers are entering the 2026 season with a draft class that is positioned to make an immediate impact on the field. Among this group, defensive back Zakee Wheatley stands out as a player with a clear path to significant playing time. While several rookies are expected to compete for starting roles or see heavy rotation duty, the narrative surrounding the defensive secondary highlights Zakee Wheatley as a vital piece of the puzzle. The organization added multiple players through the draft, and there is a realistic projection that 6 of them will contribute heavily, with the notable exception of Jackson Quewatch. However, Zakee Wheatley has garnered specific attention for his potential to climb the depth chart quickly. As the team looks to balance experience with new talent, the transition of roles within the backfield becomes a central theme. The coaching staff is evaluating how these new additions integrate with the established roster, and Zakee Wheatley is frequently mentioned as a standout candidate for early participation. The expectation surrounding him is higher than for many of his peers, as his college pedigree and skills suggest he is ready to translate his game to the professional level. This situation is particularly intriguing because, even excluding top-round draft choices who typically hold inherent advantages in roster positioning, Zakee Wheatley appears to be the rookie most likely to see the field the most. As training camp and early preparations evolve, the focus on Zakee Wheatley serves as an indicator of how the secondary could look in the coming months. The Panthers are looking to optimize their defensive coverage, and they are doing so by relying on the influx of young talent that brings fresh energy to the squad. Keep pounding. This mindset defines the current approach to building the depth chart as they prepare for the upcoming challenges in 2026. Why does this matter right now for the Carolina Panthers? The team's secondary is currently at a turning point where the established depth chart is vulnerable to being reshaped by newcomers. Analysts, including Josh Edwards of CBS Sports, have pointed out that the current defensive structure is susceptible to secondary players coming in and making an immediate impact. This makes Zakee Wheatley a pivotal figure, as his arrival threatens the status quo held by veteran players like Nick Scott. The reason this matters is that the difference in performance capacity could dictate how Ejiro Evero constructs his defensive packages. If Zakee Wheatley proves to be a significant upgrade, it shifts the entire dynamic of the backfield, moving away from reliance on players whose hold on a starting spot is considered tenuous. Furthermore, the partnership between Zakee Wheatley and Trayvon Mulrig is viewed as a high-potential synergy. While Trayvon Mulrig excels in run defense, Zakee Wheatley brings the pass coverage grades from his college tenure that could solidify the defense against aerial threats. By balancing these skill sets, the team could mitigate weaknesses and maximize their overall defensive efficiency. The organization is looking for ways to ensure their secondary is as fresh and adaptable as possible, and the ability of rookies to step into these roles is essential for that vision. It is not just about replacing one player with another. It is about finding the right combination that allows for different looks and defensive strategies throughout a long season. The impact of this shift is being monitored closely, as the team needs immediate contributions to maintain a high level of competition within the division. As it stands, the potential for a new defensive configuration is a primary storyline for the Panthers' offseason development. The development of Zakee Wheatley within the system is closely linked to the presence of other players like Nick Scott. While the organization has shown a preference for Nick Scott in the past, the talent profile of Zakee Wheatley presents a different set of possibilities for the team's defensive schemes. Zakee Wheatley recorded 6 interceptions over his final 4 years in college, demonstrating the kind of ball-hawking ability that the coaching staff finds valuable. This statistical history, paired with his physical size, makes him an attractive option for a secondary that is looking to increase its output. The situation is not merely about finding a starter. It is about optimizing the entire group, which includes Trayvon Mulrig, Lathan Ransom, and Nick Scott. In an ideal scenario, the team would utilize a rotation that keeps all these defensive backs fresh, while providing Ejiro Evero with the flexibility to deploy them based on situational needs. Zakee Wheatley's path is defined by his ability to demonstrate that he is a more efficient choice than the current veterans who might be occupying valuable snaps. If Zakee Wheatley secures more playing time, it will likely be because his coverage skills allow him to serve as a perfect partner for Trayvon Moehrig. This transition would address the specific need for a defensive back who can handle pass-heavy situations, as Zakee Wheatley is projected to be less of a box player and more of a coverage specialist. The fact that the franchise was pleased to select him when they did indicates that the team management had identified him as a high-value prospect. Whether he overtakes Nick Scott or simply forces the staff to rotate them more frequently, the result will be a more competitive environment in the defensive backfield, which is exactly what the coaching staff intends for the 2026 season. Comparing the various rookies in the 2026 class, the paths for individuals like Sam Hecht and Lee Hunter are also worth noting. While names like Sam Hecht appear likely to see the field early, the specific interest in Zakee Wheatley stems from the specific positional need he fills. The competition for spots is not limited to the secondary, but the secondary is where the impact of a rookie player is most immediate in terms of defensive reliability. For instance, while Bobby Brown III remains a capable nose tackle ahead of Lee Hunter, the situation in the secondary is more fluid. Players like Zakee Wheatley and Will Lee III are explicitly mentioned as individuals who can challenge for immediate playing time. This context is vital because it reveals a clear strategy from the organization: prioritize depth and competition at every level of the defense. The front office knows that relying on the same roster structure without change can be a liability, especially when there are rookies with the size and production levels of Zakee Wheatley available. The debate over who should start, whether it is the veterans who saw action last year or the new draft picks, will continue to be a focal point throughout the upcoming weeks. However, the consistent mention of Zakee Wheatley in discussions regarding early contributors suggests he is ahead of the curve compared to many other rookies. His size is a significant factor in how the coaches view his transition to the pro game, as it allows him to match up with various receiver types. As these rookies adjust, the goal remains the same: create a reliable unit that can perform under pressure. For Zakee Wheatley, the upcoming season represents an opportunity to prove that the initial evaluations were correct, and that he can indeed provide the upgrade the defensive backfield requires to succeed on the field. Looking forward, the integration of Zakee Wheatley into the Panthers' defensive framework is a process that depends on more than just training camp performance. It is about how the existing chemistry of the defensive backfield evolves. With Trayvon Moehrig firmly in the mix and Lathan Ransom providing additional support, the group is becoming increasingly crowded with talent. This internal competition is exactly what is needed for a team aiming to improve its overall defensive performance. The status of Nick Scott as a primary roadblock to Zakee Wheatley remains one of the most interesting aspects of the depth chart assessment. While the organization has long-standing reasons for trusting Nick Scott, the talent ceiling of Zakee Wheatley is difficult to ignore. The team's desire to use different looks to challenge opposing offenses is another reason why having both players and utilizing both in a rotation is a logical outcome. By keeping the secondary players fresh, the Panthers can maintain a high level of intensity, something that is essential given the demands of the schedule. The coaching staff will have to make tough decisions as the final roster takes shape, but the consensus is that the team is deeper than it was previously. Zakee Wheatley, with his proven track record of ball production, is currently the most compelling candidate to shake up the rotation. The ultimate goal is to field the best combination of players, and the draft class of 2026 was explicitly assembled with this goal in mind. As the pieces fall into place, Zakee Wheatley stands as a symbol of the team's commitment to finding impact players in the draft. Whether he earns the starting role immediately or serves as a critical rotational piece, his presence on the field will be a major indicator of the team's defensive progress throughout the year, marking a new chapter for the Carolina secondary.